Welcome to my channel Limelight Leaks. Please share and subscribe and hit the bell icon for new updates. At 89, Alan Alda tells new stories about fighting with his TV buddy. Alan Alda was born with the name Alonzo Joseph d'Abruzzo on January 28, 1936 in the Bronx, New York City. He is a much-loved American actor, director, writer, and book author, whose job has lasted more than 60 years. His dad was actor Robert Alda, and Alan grew up in a house full of theater where he got to see acting and shows from when he was very little. His childhood was both lucky and hard. When Alan was 7 years old, he got very sick with polio, and while he was getting better, his dad gave him brain games and puzzles that probably helped make his lifelong love of learning and being smart. Even though he had these early sickness problems, Alan came out with a strong spirit and a deep love for telling stories and the arts. Alan Alda is best known for his famous role as Captain Benjamin Franklin Hawkeye Pierce in the amazing television show MASH, which was on TV from 1972 to 1983. His acting as Hawkeye, a funny, caring, and very human army doctor during the Korean War, made viewers around the world love him. Alan brought incredible feelings and humanity to the character, mixing jokes with heartfelt emotions. He not only acted in the show, but also wrote and directed many episodes, showing his many different talents and deep understanding of characters and storytelling. The last episode of MASH, which Alan directed and helped write, is still one of the most watched television shows in American history. This shows the big impact he helped create. Besides MASH, Alan has had a very busy and different career in movies, television, and theater. He got great praise for his roles in movies like The Four Seasons 1981, Crimes and Misdemeanors 1889, and The Aviator 2004, where he played Senator Ralph Owen Brewster next to Leonardo DiCaprio. His acting in The Aviator got him an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor. Alan has also been in memorable TV shows like The West Wing, ER, 30 Rock, and Ray Donovan, showing his ability to act in different types of shows across different generations. His Emmy-winning guest role as Dr. Gabriel Lawrence on ER, and his Emmy-nominated part as Senator Arnold Vinnick on The West Wing, showed his ability to bring smartness and seriousness to any character he played. Alan Alda is more than just an actor. He loves to help people learn about science and education. He has supported science for a long time, and he helped start the Alan Alda Center for Communicating Science at Stony Brook University in 2009. The center teaches scientists and health workers to talk about hard ideas clearly and in ways that regular people can understand. Alan believes that being able to explain scientific ideas in ways people can relate to and find interesting is very important for society to grow and understand things better. His work in this area shows his deep care for helping the public, education, and the importance of caring and talking to people. Because of his hard work, he has gotten many honorary degrees and awards from science and education schools. As a writer, Alan Alda has written several best-selling books including Never Have Your Dog Stuffed and Other Things I've Learned, 2005, Things I Overheard While Talking to Myself, 2007, and If I Understood You, Would I Have This Look on My Face, 2017. His life story books are special because they are honest, funny, and warm, giving readers a close look at his life experiences, beliefs, and personal growth. His books have touched people around the world, not only for their interesting stories, but also for their thoughts about what it means to be human. In recent years, Alan has faced personal health problems with his usual grace and openness. In 2018, he told everyone that he had been told he has Parkinson's disease, a sickness that gets worse over time and affects the brain. Instead of hiding from public life, Alan used this chance to help people learn about it and speak up for those living with the disease. He kept acting, speaking in public, and hosting his popular podcast, Clear Plus Vivid, with Alan Alda, where he talks to scientists, artists, and smart people about the art of talking to people and connecting with them. His bravery, strength, and positive attitude have inspired countless fans and people who look up to him. Alan Alda's gifts to entertainment, education, and public talking have earned him a place among the most respected and loved people in American culture. He has gotten many awards throughout his career, including 6 Emmy Awards, a Golden Globe Award, and being put into the Television Hall of Fame. In 2019, he was honored with the Special Screen Actors Guild Life Achievement Award for his lasting impact on the world of television and film, as well as his work helping people. In 1956, while going to school at Fordham University, a young Alan Alda, who was still called by his birth name, Alonzo Joseph d'Abruzzo, had an important meeting that would change the rest of his personal life. During this time, Alan was very focused on his studies, growing his mind and practicing the wit and charm that would later become what people knew him for in his acting career. Even with the stress of college life and his growing interest in theater and making things up on the spot, he still found time to go to social parties, which were often fun events among the college kids of 1950s New York. It was at one of these parties, a dinner party that a friend they both knew was having, that he met Arlene Weiss, a smart and talented music student at Hunter College. Arlene was studying to become a music teacher, and was known for being smart, quick with jokes, and having a lively personality. The party itself might have been forgotten like most college memories for most people who were there, but for Alan and Weiss, it was a very important moment. Their friendship began not with formal hellos or shared school interests, but with a sudden, kind of silly thing that happened with a rum cake. As the story goes, someone at the party dropped the dessert in the kitchen floor, a food disaster for most people but a bonding moment for the future couple. While the rest of the guests felt bad about eating a cake that had touched the ground, Alan and Arlene both didn't care about the social rules and went for it. Laughing, they shared the slightly broken rum-soaked cake right off the floor, showing each other they both had a spirit of adventure, humor, and didn't care about being fancy. Alan would later tell this story with warmth and love, often talking about it as a very important moment in their relationship. "We did eat the rum cake off the floor," he said in interviews, "and we couldn't be separated after that." But even before the cake accident, Alan had already noticed Arlene. Sitting at opposite ends of a long dinner table, he was telling one of his usually funny stories when he heard a particularly happy laugh. It belonged to Arlene. That laugh, real, musical, and not worried about what others thought, got his attention right away. "She had me at ha," Alan later joked, giving a romantic twist to the well-known saying. That moment of laughing together, even more than the cake incident, was what really drew him to here. Their relationship grew quickly, even with the hard work of their school studies and the busy social lives of two young New Yorkers. Alan and Arlene became closer and closer. They both loved the arts. He liked theater and writing, she liked music and education, and both were smart and curious, cared about politics, and were excited about the world around them. They helped each other reach their dreams. And by the time Alan graduated from Fordham in 1956, the two had already become each other's most trusted friends and biggest cheerleaders. On March 15, 1957, just a year after Alan's graduation, they got married in a small but heartfelt ceremony that started a lifelong partnership. Over the years, their marriage would be one of Hollywood's longest-lasting marriages built in deep respect for each other, humor, and shared beliefs. Together, they raised 3 daughters, Eve, Elizabeth, and Beatrice, raising them in a home that encouraged creativity, learning, and caring about others. Even though Alan's career often meant travel and long hours on movie sets, especially during his years acting in MASH, he stayed a loving family man, making time for his children and saying Arlene was what kept their family together. Their daughters went their own different ways, with Elizabeth and Beatrice going into the arts, and at least 2 of their 8 grandchildren have shown interest in acting, suggesting that the family's creative gifts may continue into the next generation. Throughout their many years together, Arlene has stayed Alan's closest friend. She has also playfully kept a private part of his identity alive by sometimes calling him Fonzie, a reminder of his given name, Alonzo. The nickname is both a loving name and a reminder of the man behind the fame, someone she has known and loved since their college days, long before the world knew him as Alan Alda. Their relationship, marked by humor, strength, and a shared love of storytelling, has often been talked about by Alan as one of the great blessings of his life. Whether it's a rum cake on the floor or a quiet moment shared at home, their love story is one of the few Hollywood romances that has survived the tests of time, fame, and the unpredictable twists of life. At 89 years old, legendary actor Alan Alda, issuing that age doesn't stop you when it comes to looking back at the past with fresh insight and amazing honesty. In a rare and very personal interview, Alan opened up about a long-rumored fight that happened during the best years of his famous television series MASH, telling for the first time an honest view of what had been covered in Guessing and Rumors before. The big news is about a work and personal fight with co-star Wayne Rogers, who played the friendly and smart-mouthed trapper John McIntyre during the show's early seasons. Alan, loved not only for his role as the joke-telling Hawkeye Pierce, but also for his real-life smartness, diplomacy, and love of working together, has rarely spoken badly about co-workers. His willingness now to talk about this difficult part of his past shows his changing views on being honest and his legacy. "At my age," Alan said during the conversation, "there's no reason not to be honest. We don't always get along with everyone, and sometimes we don't understand how we might have helped cause that tension until many years later." The cause of the fight, as Alan explained, came from creative disagreements during the show's 2nd and 3rd seasons. While MASH was first written as more of a group comedy with darker parts, Alan's growing power as both lead actor and occasional scriptwriter began to change, the show's feeling toward a more thoughtful, character-driven story. Rogers, who wanted a more equal sharing of screen time and comedic energy, reportedly got frustrated with the increasing focus on Hawkeye at the expense of other characters, especially Trapper John. According to Alan, the tension was rarely explosive, but was still easy to feel on set. Wayne was incredibly talented, sharp as a tack, and had great timing, Alan remembered. But we just saw the show differently. He wanted it to be one kind of show, and I was pulled toward a slightly different kind of storytelling, one with more moral confusion, more internal conflict. I think we didn't talk about it enough at the time. We were two men full of ideas and opinions trying to figure out something that had a lot of moving parts. Alan's looking back tone is not blaming but rather thoughtful, even humble. He admitted that his growing involvement in the writing process, while creatively satisfying, may have accidentally left others out. I didn't set out to take anything away from Wayne, Alan said, but I was learning how to write and direct, and maybe I didn't always know how to do that without stepping on toes. I was passionate, maybe too passionate. Wayne Rogers finally left the show after season 3, saying there were contract problems and he wasn't happy with the direction his character was taking. His leaving was sudden and started rumors of backstage anger. Alan, in his recent comments, confirmed that their goodbye was not completely friendly, though it didn't have the bitterness that often hurts Hollywood fights. We never yelled, never had a screaming match, but we stopped talking, and that in some ways was worse. Silence can grow heavier than any argument. In the many years since, Alan and Rogers rarely saw each other in public, and any making up stayed private, if it happened at all. Alan noted with a hint of sadness that he never fully fixed the relationship before Rogers' death in 2015. I wish we had sat down years later just as two old men and said, hey, we did something special together, because we did. We made something that lasted, that mattered. The actor's willingness to open this emotional window at such a late time in life is both touching and admirable. Now living with Parkinson's disease, but continuing to work as a podcaster, science communicator, and person who speaks up for caring and communication, Alan is more committed than ever to speaking the truth, even when it involves revisiting the rougher parts of his personal history. His thoughts offer not only a deeper understanding of MASH's complex relationships, but also a broader lesson in humility, forgiveness, and the long shadow that unspoken tensions can cast. In this moment of honesty, Alan Alda is not just sharing gossip from the past. He is showing something rare and valuable: how to grow wiser with age, how to accept our part in conflict, and how to speak with compassion, even about the mistakes we couldn't quite fix in time. On July 31, 2018, Alan Alda made a deeply personal and brave announcement during an appearance on CBS This Morning. He publicly told everyone that he'd been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease 3 years earlier. The announcement was met with lots of support and admiration, not only from fans of his long and famous acting career, but also from regular people who saw his openness as both brave and inspiring. Instead of hiding from the public eye or letting the diagnosis define him, Alan chose to face the illness with his trademark intelligence, grace, and humor. In the interview, he emphasized that he had not let the disease slow him down and continued to live an active life, including acting, giving talks, and working with scientific and communication projects through his Alan Alda Center for Communicating Science. Alan explained that he had gone public because he wanted to get ahead of Thestry, especially after noticing small symptoms that could be misunderstood, such as a twitching thumb visible in some video footage. He also hoped that sharing his diagnosis would help reduce the shame surrounding Parkinson's and encourage others to seek early treatment, as he himself had benefited from early help, exercise, and taking care of himself early. His openness served as a light for others living with Parkinson's, and his example made stronger the idea that it is possible to live a rich, meaningful, and active life even after a serious diagnosis. For many years, Alan Alda and his wife Arlene made their home in the quiet suburban community of Leonia, New Jersey, located in Bergen County, just a short distance from New York City. Leonia offered the Aldas a peaceful place to relax, while still allowing easy access to the cultural and professional opportunities of Manhattan. The couple became well-known and well-liked members of the community, contributing to local causes and enjoying the sense of belonging the town provided. Leonia, with its tree-lined streets and close-knit atmosphere, was a perfect backdrop for a man who, despite international fame, always valued family, intellectual curiosity, and a grounded lifestyle. The Aldas raised their daughters there and found in the town a sense of belonging that stayed with them for decades. Alan often spoke fondly of Leonia in interviews, remembering its neighborhood feel and sense of community with the warmth that was part of his public personality. Just a short drive from Leonia in the neighboring town of Englewood, New Jersey, sat one of Alan's favorite hangouts, Saul and Soul Deli. Located on Palisade Avenue, this classic Jewish delicatessen was known for its hearty food, comforting atmosphere, and loyal customer base, and Alan became one of its regulars. It wasn't just a place to grab a bite to eat. For Alan, it held a special place in his routine and memory. The deli's reputation for authentic white fish salad, pastrami on rye, and other delicacies drew in customers from across the region. But for Alan, the connection was personal. This love for the deli even found its way into the fabric of his television work. In a memorable episode of MASH, Alan's character, Captain Benjamin Franklin Hawkeye Pierce, experiences a hallucination after getting a head injury. During this daydream, Hawkeye wistfully mentions eating whitefish from Saul and Soul, a subtle yet touching tribute to the real-life deli that Alan loved. This creative nod not only highlighted Alan's affection for his local favorites, but also showed his ability to weave personal authenticity into the fictional world of his characters. The moment was a reminder of how Alan brought elements of his own experiences and identity into the roles he played, making them feel all the more genuine and relatable to audiences.